Thank you, thank you. Thank you all. So, hi, my name is Joonas Turner, and I am a sound designer and voice actor. Today I'm going to be telling you my personal insights on how to make a game feel better with sounds, or how you can enhance a game feel with sounds. Oh, and this is like a 20-hour massive talk compressed into 20 minutes. So let's do this. So my name is Joonas Turner. I work at E-Studio. That's a sound studio back in Helsinki, Finland. E-Studio has its roots in music production. That is recording, mixing, mastering, producing music, and so on and so on. And I was hired over there a few years back in 2012 to bring my video game sound design stuff over there. So, woohoo! I have my own room. It's just like home with parents. I have my own room. Whoops. So here are some of the games I worked on. I did sound design and voice acting for Nuclear Throne. I did sound design for Badland. I did mainly voice acting for Broforce. I did some sound content too, like alien sound effects and stuff. We had a small team in Environmental Station Alpha, and I was the lead sound designer on that. We had a slightly bigger team on Angry Birds Transformers. I did the lead sound design on that too. Sound design on Downwell, some additional sound content for Turbo Dismount, and reverb programming and final mix stage stuff for the Swapper, and the list goes on and on and on. If you want to know more, get me a beer and we'll talk. Wow, we are recording this. So, you can still get me a beer though. And I design games as a hobby. I've been doing that for quite some while. Cool, enough about me. Let's go on into the subject at hand. So, first off, things to think at the design phase. First off, what's the game like? That's a basic question. And what's the main focus of the player? So, be sure to choose the focus. So let's say if it's like a shooting game, you have to like battling, shooting, dodging, ducking for cover and stuff. Keep that in mind and like try to make the best out of it. Like you can think about ambiences and stuff, but put your main focus on like what's the player doing, what's the core thing of the game. Think about that. If it's like a football game, kicking the ball, like try to think of things how to make that feel nice and like just choose that. Or car game, you're driving and like steering the car or whatever, tires screeching. Like put your thought into stuff like that. Like take a piece of paper, put like, okay, this is a card game. Shuffling cards must feel good. Stuff like that. Just basic. Start with that. When you have that in your mindset, you will already be like, so to make the game feel better, I need to choose this stuff. And it's in your subconscious already. So when you start creating sounds, you're like, is this good enough? So keep that in mind. Think about cues to make people listen to the game or listen to the UI and stuff, like not to look at UI, like an action game. Sorry, UI artists, by the way. But think about like an action game. There's shooting happening, monsters coming from there, alien, oh no, underground worm attacking you. You don't want the player to be looking at you either. You're like, no, I have to be in the middle of the battle. Then you're like, how many bullets have I got? You don't want to do that in an action game. You don't want to give players like, you want to give the players like action, not reading a book. So think of like audio cues to make that happen. Like let's say you're shooting, you're out of bullets. You could have the player shout like, I'm out of bullets, or make like clang of metal, like, and you know, okay, I'm out of ammo, or about to be out of ammo. So keep that in mind instead of like, UI, come on, that's not action. So think of stuff like that. When people base actions on sounds, you know that's a good thing. Think about music, sound effects and voiceovers blending together, like potential frequency clashes. If you have like music going crazy bass, horns, like all the time, the sound effects are like, and then the voiceover is like a mutant going, like all that together will make the game feel muddy. You're going to have crazy busyness happening on, loss of focus. Sometimes that's a desired effect, but throughout the game, that's probably not what you want. So think about like bringing the designer and composer together to work on the project. Like, okay, composer, what do you want to do? Oh, you want to do that? I want to do this. How do we make these two work together? So get your composer and sound designer together in the same room or Skype or something. That's already going to make it way better. You could have dynamic systems. I'm going to talk about those later. Just make sure the feel of the game is #1. And for you musicians, if you want to like release a official soundtrack, this is the best sounding thing I've ever done, it doesn't need to be that in the game. A soundtrack itself can be a separate entity for what's in the game. Just make sure what's in the game complements everything. And create something unique. What I mean by this is make something that people think this game is that game. For instance, a language. Creating a language for a game might be a good way to do this. As an example, for Nuclear Throne, I wrote this language, or created this language called Trash Talk, that the mutants talk, and the enemies have a different dialect of that. So that already gives like world building. It already makes the world feel like a living world in a sense. And what I have in the game is when the players enter a world, it's like and stuff like that. So I have that happening. So that already feels, I know I'm going to a new level, new world, like when the monster shouts that. And the cool thing is, sometimes you see players, like I've seen players play another game, and they go to a new level, and they're like, and I'm like, woohoo. That already gave them like a memo, nice memo of the game. You could do like success sounds, like, you made it, or like, hey, stuff like that. Just something that makes the game feel like the game it is, like, make the game feel unique, like, one thing that I would say try to avoid is you have like this game doing the Inception thing, that game doing the Inception thing, that too. Wow, you all made Inception. Good job. So try to be a bit original. That will already make the game feel like your game. I have to go really fast through all this. So let's jump into creation. Plan on gear / chain. What I mean by this is, usually when I start a project, I decide what microphone and what preamp I will use for all the action sounds. So like jumping, opening doors, explosions, stuff like that. I would always use the same pair, like same mic and same preamp for all of these sounds. Like I would be really strict about it. And let's say for voiceovers, I would use that microphone and that preamp. And for the enemy voiceovers, I would use that microphone and that preamp. Stuff like that. And what this does is, it kind of makes these sounds be in the same sonic space. Like they're already, like all the action sounds will feel the same because they are recorded with the same stuff. All the voiceovers will feel the same because they are, you know. And that just makes the world feel more believable. It's the same ears listening. Like, it makes sense, right? And what I mean with chain is, you know, you have like Pro Tools, Nuendo, Cubase, Ableton Live, whatever. You have a software. You have all the layers here. Okay, I have that for cloves, that for metal clanking, whatever. And all these make one sound. And they go through the master chain. So what I would do with this master chain is I would always have the same like dynamics processing, like same limiter, a saturator, if I want to use that in the game, like give some distortion field to the game. I would always have the exact same FX processing in the master chain for every sound I make for the game. Because that makes everything, like these have their own, like the action vocals and stuff. They have their own like sonic spaces here, like they have different gear. They are already different from each other. Then I have the master chain that ties all these. They feel different, but they still feel same because they all go through the same filter, so to say. And just ties them together, it glues them together, and just keep that in mind. Oh, whoa, I jumped a point. So one point about using the same mic and preamp and stuff is, for actions and vocal and stuff, it will make them pop out from the mix without doing like crazy tricks. So I would have like a battlefield scene happening, and then the voiceovers are done with another setup. That will make already the vocals pop out a bit more. On the enemies have a different setup. It will make them pop out from the player setup. Just think of how to pair stuff sonically. And I don't mean the Sega game. And that also makes a good drinking game. Like, every time I say Sonic, have a drink. I know, I will. So. Now, let's do some tips. Make your sound shorter. So, with this I mean, well, I actually play a jump sound that I made. So you can hear that's a jump sound. And it takes that long to complete. So the thing is, you have like long sounds like that. It will, in time, it will become repetitive. It will give you gradual fatigue of always like pressing a button and waiting it to end. It will become really annoying at some point. You don't want to jump anymore. You're like, oh, it's taking so long. I don't want to do that. Like, think about like opening doors. After the third door, you're going to say, fuck doors, I'm going to blast my way through. So, sorry, I said the nice word. So, make sounds shorter to resist that. Like, normal jump, shorter jump. It already feels more like, I could listen to this way more than to that, like in a game. It just makes the sound feel more, what would be the right word, like, I mean, no. It just makes the sound feel nicer, the game feel nicer. Then, make the beginnings shorter of your sounds. Think about the player pushing a button. What I mean by this is, when you, like this sound, there's a small gradual build to it. You jump. If it's shorter, it's instantaneous for the button press. And why this is important is you want the player to press the button. I mean, usually you want the player to press a button and be like, hey, I did that. I pressed the button, I jumped in the game. Instead of I pressed the button and that creature jumped in the game. Or like whatever it is. Like, you want it to be me, extension of player, not you controlling another character. So like, now I press jump, it's you jumping. Now it's me jumping. I don't know if you can like hear it from this, but that will make a difference. It will make the player feel like I did it. It will give them a feel of satisfaction. It's instant response to their action, and that's always a good thing. But then again, having a delay might make things feel sluggish. A good example of this, like bring tension and stuff, a good example of this is the Dark Souls games, for instance. Woohoo, shout out for them. Like, if you're over-encumbered, you're equipping a goddamn house on you. I'm so happy. And then you try to jump, it's like, that already feels like, it's the most heaviest thing ever. Instead of like being, or like, that doesn't feel heavy. That just feels like you have like crazy diarrhea or something. So having like, it's like, that's heavy. You're wearing a house with horns or something. So think about that. Ooh, checking my notes. Cool. Okay, so going on. My favorite bit, impact, or impacting the impact. The thing with impact. What I do a lot in games is I decide on a small audio file. It would be like, I don't know, 5 to 20 milliseconds long or something. My professor's degree. So you have this small, really kind of a sound. And I would choose that, like a different sound per game. Just like either like, or something like that. I would take a small sound like that and insert that to every sound asset I do to the game. Unless they're like looping sounds, but like every like single shot sound. Because having that in front, like here's the whole file, I would have it like right at the beginning. What I can do with this is, I can adjust punch of the sound. If I raise the volume of this sound, it will make the sound like, instead of being like, you can like adjust the punch of the sound. If you want it to be less punchier, put it quieter. If you want it to be really punchy, put it really high. And with this, you can also like emphasize bass, make bass feel more like, it sounds more bassier. So instead of like having a shotgun sound, I would just have like shotgun sound being like just boost the bass of that, and it's like, I would have that small sound have like tons of bass. So that what that does is kind of fools us in a sense, and it fools our speakers, like subwoofers and stuff, that the small thing only has like a really like heavy bass, and then the rest can be normal. Like this, you can just leave the shotgun sound as normal and have like a nice punchy, tight bass, and if you have like 20 shotguns shooting, the game doesn't go like, now the game would be like, so think about that. That was probably pretty weird. You can emphasize the button press here. Like having that in every sound will make the button press feel like, hey, I'm pressing buttons. Especially if like every action has that sound, it just makes it feel like this is what I'm doing, and so on and so on. You could have a different sound for maybe the enemies or something. I don't know. You can experiment with that. And a good example with having like a button press with that small impact is, let's say you're pulling a lever and a castle bridge comes down. If you don't have anything, it's like I press a button. If you have a small punch sound, but even if it's like bare, you can't even hear it proper. It's just a feeling like a small bass over there. It's just like something like that. And you have that in front. It's like I press a button. That small thing makes it feel like I did something. I pressed a button. So on and so on. This makes it feel like I did something instead of me, again, pressing button and that doing it. So think about that. Distortion etc. artifacts. Let's move on. With this, I mean, and now I'm going to easily piss off some people, but, you know. Distortion etc. artifacts. What I mean with this is like technical, kind of like technical flaws in the game. You can sometimes use these flaws to enhance it. So let's say you have 20 knights with crazy halberds attacking you. And the master channel of the game, like the in-game audio engine, is like, there's millions of knights. It's like, my ears hurt. It feels so tense. And then you slay them and it's quiet. And you're like, my ears can breathe again. That might be technically considered as, wow, you were clipping. It was not good. But if it felt good, why not? If it's not hurting anyone, it's not breaking anything, fucking go for it. Another thing, like if you have like master limiter going crazy, like you're in underground level, all these sound files have bass, and it's like everything feels like, so what's happening? And out of water, like people would be, that's a technical flaw. You're a master limiter, and there's so much. Fuck, no. Like, if it felt good, go with it. Jeez. So, let's move on. I still have a few minutes. Sound systems, ducking. I don't mean, like, duck. Shitty joke. So, ducking. With this, you know, you have music playing on radio. Someone talks, the music goes down. They stop talking, the music comes back up. We use that in video games a lot for, like, a character talking, and the background dims down, right? What if you would use that for like actions, for like UI and stuff like that? Like I've been using that like for some time now in games to enhance something. I'll just give you a quick example. Here's a sound clip with no ducking. It's just someone shooting this background. What if I put ducking on the weapons? Let's compare again. No. Ducking. I don't know if you can hear it through here, but what happens here is the shooting became more prominent. It was more clear. There was more power. It was like, hey, I'm doing something that affects the world. It gives that feeling of power to the player. It's really cool. And what if you would apply filtering to that as well? And with filters, I mean, you know, bomb explodes, stuff like that, right? Maybe some ear ringing, whatever. What if you would apply that to the actions as well? So let's do the clip with no ducking. With ducking. With filtering. That already feels like, of course I'm like over accenting right now. Now it's like overly accented. But if you do that slightly, it will bring so much power and feeling for the actions. And you could apply that to anything like UI or jumping or whatever. It's just even having the slight amount makes it feel better. It feels like I'm doing something. Or if there's a powerful enemy, and it's like, it's the most powerful thing ever. And you could have like different stages of this. You could have like loose weapons, like you could have like a shotgun, or you could have like rocket launcher. You could like bring feel without even affecting like mixed balances. You could just like do ducking balances, and that already does a cool thing. So, but with sound systems, give priority to what is important. Like, don't just create a lot of sound systems and like everything's ducking, everything's doing that. I have this cool reverb thing, occlusion, whatever. So you have all this cool stuff, but if it starts to make the game feel like more like a technical demo than a game or something, like if it doesn't feel good anymore, it introduces like input lag or whatever, just take it out. You don't need to join the fashion club of technical people. You just do something that feels good. Because nothing is as irritating as loosening the feel or breaking the illusion of the game that, hey, I'm doing this. So keep focus of the game always number one thing, and if you do that, the game will feel much better, and thank you. Follow me on Twitter if you want to talk to me about stuff related to this. I'm here today, tomorrow, maybe. If I find accommodation, I might be here longer. So, cool. We have like 3 minutes for Q&A. Any questions? Whew. I told you it's really compressed.
Are you ready for questions?
I'm going to go straight into a slightly technical question. But you mentioned setting up your master chain in your DAW. In Logic, like when you want to export all the tracks as separate sounds and you hit that export all sounds as tracks, it doesn't put them through the master chain. It puts them all through their own insert thing. So you end up doing loads of inserts, I think. Or have you found that you can do that in Logic?
But you can do a workaround with this, that you create a track and you record all those layers in that track. Done.
You put all...
So you route them to a track and you record to
track.
that track, and then you have like that sound file there. Like you would make a master aux, like auxiliary, and you would route that, like everything through that, into an audio track, empty audio track, and then you record that audio track.
But that will then put them all together on that audio track. But when you're wanting to get all your sounds out as separate files...
like as in for a, let's say like Wise or F-Mod or something.
Yeah.
Do a master chain on that.
In F-Mod?
Yeah.
But we're putting the sound straight into Unity, so then you don't have the master chain.
Yeah,
so there isn't a way to put your master chain onto all the individual...
do it to all the individual ones as well. Just put the same plugin chain like at the end of...
You copy the chain, so you copy the chain onto every track.
Yeah, that's what I would probably do.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing. Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Do you have some example of that impact you've mentioned earlier?
Oh, didn't I play it? Okay. Jump shorter. Now with a small impact sound to emphasize button press. I don't know, can you really hear it right now? But if you have that same impact for, let's say, dodging as well, stuff like that, it will make the dodging and jumping kind of feel, like make the button press feel similar. I can give you more examples later on if you want. Yeah. I don't know, did that.
Hi, are there any virtual instruments that you use that you can advertise?
Advertise?
I mean, that are good?
We are not supposed to advertise in GDC.
Yeah.
No one's paying me, so I'm not advertising anything. Oh, no. VSTs that I use, like instruments.
Yeah.
I use Pro Tools own instruments. They're pretty lame, but they work, so why not? I don't really, I record most stuff myself, so I would use like real instruments. Unless it's like an orchestra, I would use, I don't know, East, West or something. I don't know. I don't, maybe later if you get me a drink, we can talk about this.
We do have time for one more.
One more. That guy's been holding his hand for a long time.
Thanks. All right. You said that you want to make sounds shorter, right?
Excuse me?
You said that you want to make sounds shorter.
Yeah.
Right. So I was wondering if repetitive long sounds don't become earworms. Like if you ever played Zelda, the Link's going like, "Wow, I can do sounds."
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Doesn't that help to make game feel better or something?
Yeah, of course, when I say make sounds shorter, it's doesn't necessarily apply to everything, but like that link thing, that is the feel thing. They're like, okay, having like a long attack. They're like, that feels good. They were like, fuck it, it feels good, let's do it. Swearing again. So they're like, yeah, it feels good, like, let's do it. So if it feels good, like, ignore, if anything feels better than this, my own personal rule set, go for it. If it feels good, it feels good. So, like, what I do is I usually start by making sounds shorter unless a longer version feels better. And it's, like, totally up to the occasion. Yeah.
All right.
So,
please,
thank you.
One more round of applause for Joonas Turner.